What's up, guys? Doomwake here. Welcome back to another modern video on the channel. As always, before we continue, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and please let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this video. We are going to be playing some HammerTime today. It's a deck that is one of, if not the best decks in the format right now. I can't, as much as I dislike the deck and maybe don't enjoy playing against it, I can't deny that it is one of the best decks. And it's been a little while since I played it on the channel. It's been about a month, so we're going to bring you some HammerTime content today. What is HammerTime, you ask? Well, for those of you who don't know, the interaction is between Colossus Hammer, which is the card you see on your screen here, which is a 1-mana equipment, gives equipped creature +10/+10 and loses flying, and ways to sort of cheat the 8-mana requirement, because it's 8 to equip, but we have ways around that. And the two ways around that are Puresteel Paladin, which is 2 mana 2/2. Whenever equipment comes into play, you draw a card, and then if you have Metalcraft, your equip costs are 0, which means that instead of paying the 8 mana for Hammer, you just pay 0, move it over. And then we also have Sigarda's Aid, which gives your ores and equipments flash, and they automatically attach when they come into play to a target creature you control. So those are our 8 ways to cheat on the 8 mana equip cost on Colossus Hammer. We also have Urza Saga to find Colossus Hammer, Stoneforge Mystic, also to find Colossus Hammer, along with Shadow Spear. We have a small Urza Saga package here with the main deck Nihil Spellbomb, and then we also, sometimes with Saga, this is one of the better Saga decks because sometimes you just want an extra body, so you can get a Memnite or Ornithopter. You can get mana, like you can have the Saga replace itself with effectively a Lamb and a Springleaf Drum, and also you just get the tutor for your combo piece, which is Colossus Hammer. And then the rest of the deck is, again, cheap artifacts to facilitate Metalcraft and Urza Saga, Mishra's Bauble, because we are a Lurrus deck, Esper Sentinel, which is a card from MH2 that is, it's just an amazing card in this deck. If you play Esper Sentinel on turn 1, you put your opponent in this spot where they either have to time walk themselves because they want to not let you draw a card. If they want to use their removal spell on turn 1, they have to be behind a turn if they don't want to give you an extra card. So there's that, and then it's also an artifact, so it pumps up your sagas and helps towards Metalcraft, and it's also just something that's really good if you put a hammer on it, because there's probably not many situations where your opponent's going to be able to pay 11 mana, so you just guarantee get the card back on the way out the door, which is really sick. So there's that, and then we have Ingenious Smith, which is a 2-mana 1/1. It's from this is from D&D, I believe. Comes into play, look at the top 4, you get an artifact, and whenever one or more artifacts enter the battlefield, you put a counter on it. Now this counts not only on your turn, so if you, let's say you play an Ingenious Smith, and then you play a 0-mana artifact, put a counter on it. Next turn, on your turn, you play a 0-mana artifact, gets a counter. And then on their turn, you can activate Urza Saga to get an additional counter on their turn, and then you untap and get another counter when your Saga goes off. So you can do some pretty sweet stuff with Ingenious Smith, so it's a really good card in this deck. This particular list comes from Laplace John, who top 16 the challenge on Saturday. They've been playing this deck for basically since MH2 came out. They've been playing this deck. I don't even know if they've played any other deck, but yeah, that's where I found the list from. And then we have a light black splash in the sideboard for Thoughtseize. One thing I will note: there's only 3 Inkmoth Nexus, which I thought was kind of strange, and I don't know if that's just to make sure we have enough colored sources. I don't know if that's a concern, but it's very odd that we're only playing 3. I mean, it is a little bit slower sometimes. Like if you want to try and kill them with Inkmoth Nexus plus Hammer, you have to wait. It's only good specifically with Aid because your creature will still have flying in combat because the Aid gives the Hammer a flash. But with Paladin, you can equip it. If you don't have a spare mana lying around, there's a little trick you can do. So worth noting, if you have an Inkmoth Nexus, you have a Puresteel Paladin, you have Metalcraft, you can pay 0, equip the Hammer to the Nexus. Hammer says it loses flying, right? But then if you reactivate the Nexus, it is a 1/1. It has to do with layers and timestamps or something like that. But basically, if you activate Nexus, then equip the Hammer, then activate the Nexus again, it now has flying. That's all you need to know. And then going over the sideboard here, Again, mana base, just some black lands, silent clearing to help flooding, Urza Saga, Inkmoth Nexus. Sideboard, we got some Sanctifier and Vex for Dredge and Lurrus decks, Prismatic Ending for DRC and Ragavan, Thoughtseize for combo, Void Mirror for Cascade, Hanger Backwalker for when you need to get a little bit grindy, and your opponent has more interactive spells. This can, pretty good going long. Also, just a nice recursive threat with Lurrus. If your Lurrus sticks in play, you can just keep recasting a Hanger Back from 1. So that's kind of cool. A nice little neat addition. And then, obviously, our Lurrus. So, with that, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. So, without further ado, I'll see you back here in just a little bit for round number 1. Alrighty, everybody, we're back here for round number 1. We got some HammerTime action, and what do we have? So we got some cheap creatures and a saga, and we effectively have 2 copies of Hammer. We're just missing a way to equip it. I think this hand has some upside. I mean, obviously, again, we are missing a way to equip, but we have a decent curve, and we have an Urza Saga. We got a lot of hammers. Let's go Courtyard, Sentinel, Memnite. There's some consideration to holding Memnite. But, I mean, this one attacks, so that's my tiebreaker. That is my tiebreaker. Because sometimes if you have, like, a Springleaf Drum and you're worried about them killing your creature, you sometimes want to hold it, but I think in this exact situation, it's probably fine to play it. Because then I'm just going to go Saga, Stoneforge. I might just get a Shadow Spear because I have so many hammers. Okay, I'm actually probably going to play that. Just because it's more pressure. That is a reason to save the Memnite for sure, but that wasn't a card that was in our opening hand, so. Cast that one. Again, I don't really need more hammers, so I'd rather just get a little bit more pressure in play. I will play that this turn, because playing that to pump the Smith now is better if I draw another 0-mana creature next turn, because I just get more juice out of this thing. Grizzly Salvage. What do we got going on over here? Oh boy. Well, they have Necrotic Ooze in their hand. So this thing has all activated abilities of all creature cards in all graveyards. So it has Grist activated abilities, which doesn't matter because it's not a Planeswalker, it doesn't have loyalty. They can discard creatures and regenerate it, and they can also tap it for mana. It doesn't count, it says all activated. It doesn't say not mana. Okay. Cool. Witherbloom Command. So they're killing the Sentinel and returning something? Oh, I see. They're doing some cool stuff with this. Okay, gotcha. What did they put in their hand? Hold on, just take a look. Well, that's pretty good. They return Swamp to their hand. Cool. And they're at 16. Let's go land. Are they dead? I don't think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, so they go to 2. But then we can just get Shadow Spear next turn. So let's play Sigarda's Aid. Should have played Sentinel first, but. And I think I'm going to equip the Ornithopter. Yeah, I think I'm going to equip the Ornithopter. And just hope we don't die. Alright, equip the Ornithopter. Attack you for 14. Please don't kill me. I guess that was punishment for not playing the Stoneforge last turn, huh? I should have thought about that. Instead of playing the Smith, playing the Stoneforge would have been better if I drew exactly Sigarda's Aid, because I would have had 3 mana to be able to go Aid, then double Hammer. So that definitely was a consideration to play this last turn. But that's a lot worse if my opponent's just, like, holding up removal. I don't know. It's kind of close. I think you can make an argument either way. But now I can either get a second hammer or just a Shadow Spear. I mean, I effectively have three lethal creatures anyways. So they're destroying the Sigarda. No. Destroying the hammer and killing the Sentinel. And then holding up 2 mana. Okay. Still have what's effectively two lethal creatures, because I can just get Shadow Spear and put it on the Memnite, or I can just get Hammer. So, effectively have 3... Well, actually, 2. Yeah, I can hammer up the Thopter. Okay, so dead on board? Unless they have, like, main deck Force of Vigor. I don't really know what they could have, but... Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna do this. See what's up. Alright, they died. Cool. So black-green, Necrotic Grizzly Salvage. I don't really know what's going on over there. Sanctifier could be good. I feel like it's probably not a Thoughtseize matchup. Could be. Thoughtseize is good against the 4-drop Necrotic Ooze. And the rest of my cards don't seem particularly exciting. It's definitely those two cards are what I'm considering. Could also just not sideboard. I do have a Nihil Spellbomb. I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing in Sanctifiers. But, like, if they're doing stuff with Devoted Druid and that kind of stuff with Necrotic Ooze, this doesn't actually shut that off. Because it doesn't exile all creatures, just black and red creatures. And if they're going off with green creatures in their graveyard, this actually doesn't accomplish that much. I think I'm just not going to sideboard until I see more of their deck. Because I don't fully understand 100% what's going on. Like, I get they have Necrotic Ooze and some removal spells, but they got to be doing something with it, and I don't know what that is. I mean, they had Devoted Druid, so that could be a sign, but... this hand looks good. We got some Sentinels, we got a redraw, we got a Hammer. Again, just missing a way to equip. Alright, let's lead on Sentinel. And then this time I'm actually not going to play the Ornithopter, because there's not really a reason to. And saving it's better if I draw Smith, because I think I would like to play Smith this turn if I drew it. So just having another 0 mana artifact in my hand can trigger the Smith immediately. If it was a Memnite, then sure, you could make an argument for playing it, but... Okay, so this is a spot where I'm going to start by attacking for 1. A common situation with Paladin versus removal spells is you usually want to get the hammer into play before you... like, if you're worried about your opponent having a removal spell, right, you would want to put the hammer into play so that when Paladin enters the battlefield, you can immediately equip it to something that's not Paladin. Then if they kill the Paladin, you still have a giant thing. So that's what we're going to try and set up here. I'm just going to play Sentinel, and I'm going to go Silent Clearing Colossus Hammer. Is it better to play the Ink Moth? Actually, it might be, yeah. So let's play the Ink Moth, because I can just play the Clearing next turn. And, oops, I can't activate that. I'm still going to hold the Ornithopter, I think. Well, holding the Thopter is worse if they have Witherbloom command, because they can kill the 2 Sentinels with the command. And if they do that, I want to have a creature in play that I can actually attack with. Okay, that's not bad. Dimir Houseguard. So they get a creature or land. They put the Dimir Houseguard in their hand. This thing transmutes for 1 BB, which I assume they're trying to get Necrotic Ooze with. Morning coffee. Most important meal of the day, breakfast. And by that I mean coffee. So they are destroying the hammer and getting back a thing. Okay. Well, that stinks. That was definitely a punishment for playing out the hammer, but... Auric Lore Mage. Tap. Search library for a card, put in your graveyard, shuffle it, put a counter on it. Okay. Okay. Alright. I'll see what's going on here. Oh, I see. So they're setting up... That's kind of cool. I see what they're setting up here. So we need to make sure they're dead next turn. because it's not clear that we're going to get a turn after that. So what is the best way to go about doing that? I think it's probably Stoneforge Mystic plus Sigarda's Aid. And then next turn, if I rip a land, I can go second Stoneforge Mystic and have access to double hammer. So let's do that. Let's play Stoneforge. I guess I could choose to not run out the aid. The problem with not running out the aid is if I don't draw, if I draw a land, right, then I'm in a spot where I have Hammer, Aid, Stoneforge, and I need 5 mana to do everything I want to do, because I need to go 2 for the Stoneforge, 1 for the Hammer, 1 for the Hammer, 1 for the Aid. That's 5 mana, but I only have access to 4, even if I draw land. So even though I'm risking this versus a potential Witherbloom command, if they do that, then I can just Paladin, play the Hammer, and go that way, so... Alright. Did not draw land, but I drew the Hammer. So, is there any way we can beat a Force of Vigor? I don't think so. I don't think we can beat a Force, so I'm just not going to play around it. I think it's better to do it this way than just play 2 hammers, because I can just hammer up 2 unblocked creatures. But, yeah, we're dead if they have Force. I mean, I assume they can kill us with this activation, right? And they know about 1 hammer. Alright, show me. Show me! Said GG's. Alright, equip up the Stoneforge. Cool. Alright, that was an interesting match. I still don't know 100% what they're doing. I mean, I guess what they were trying to do is set up this, because they can tap it to search for a thing put into their graveyard, which they can probably get like a... What's the card? Vizier of Remedies, and then they can just make infinite mana and do some stuff that way. But yeah, that was match number 1, so hope you enjoyed. I'll see you back here in just a little bit for round number 2. Alright, everybody, round 2, hammer time. Let's go. What do we got? Clearing Saga. We have a Paladin, but no second white. This can always get a Springleaf Drum if we're missing second white. We have a Hammer, we have a Paladin. So this hand is basically just everything we're looking for minus second white source. I think I'm here for it. Grief, Pitch, Living End. I feel like this matchup is not great. Especially when we're on the draw. But, like, unless we have a turn 2 kill, which we are not even close to, if they have a Violent Outburst, can just kind of mess up all of our plans. Question is, do I want to play the Saga first? I think I do. I don't really care about the tokens. And I'd much rather try and get a Nihil Spellbomb and or a Hammer as quickly as possible. I mean, they took the Paladin, so maybe this line is bad. But because we have the main deck Spellbomb, they might not play around it. Like, not all the Hammer lists have a main deck Spellbomb. So if they have Outburst, they might just let us activate the Saga, and then we can get them pretty good with the Spellbomb. Okay. So I think it's probably best for me to play Stoneforge this turn, because if they have Shardless Agent, I get the Paladin back, right? So here's the thing. If they Shardless Agent, I get the Paladin back into play. This goes off, Chapter 3. I get another Hammer, and then I can go play Hammer, play Thopter, play Sentinel, double equip attack for 22. It's possible that I end up getting a Shadow Spear off of this. But again, if they hold a Violent Outburst and don't cast it in response to the Saga, then I'm just going to, okay. Well, we're doing this. I mean, to be honest with you, oh, right, so they're going to Grief the Hammer. But that's fine, because we get another Hammer. And then we go Hammer, Sentinel, Thopter. We have one giant thing. feel like we need to draw one more piece of equipment. Maybe that was a reason to not play Stoneforge, but if I don't play Stoneforge, then they just take the Stoneforge. So. Drew a Mishra's Bauble. Alright, where are we going with this? Well, I don't really think getting Shadow Spear accomplishes that much, so let's at least get the hammer with this. Do always yes, because I would in fact like to draw a card. Okay, alright, we drew a Stoneforge. That's pretty good, because that can get the Shadow Spear. Right, because if I get Hammer, they just get the they just get the chump block. Although if I get Shadow Spear, I have a 10, 11, 12/13. And they, what, triple block it with Waker, Riverwinder, Curator, and I can only kill 2 things. So I trade Paladin for Waker, Riverwinder, and then I don't really have much left over. It's not great. What's my alternative? Get second Hammer, but then they just chump block with a 2/2, right? So getting a second Hammer I don't think really does that much. So let's just get the Shadow Spear. I mean, I can gain a bunch of life this turn, and this draws me into a potential another copy of Puresteel Paladin. Okay, not quite. So I gotta play one more artifact. So let's play the one they know about. I mean, I assume they just triple block here, right? Alright, combat. 12 ya. 12 ya. It would have been nice if I had one additional creature to attack with, because then I could have just attacked with that giant thing and not the Paladin. The problem is they just get to trade 2 things for my Paladin, and now I don't have another thing that's equipped. That's the issue with this. But let's say, like, I just randomly had another Meb Knight in play. I could just attack with the 12/12 Meb Knight, or I guess an 11/12. But 11/12 Meb Knight, they either triple block it, and I say, alright, well then I'll just move everything to the Paladin, who cares? Or they... Wait, why did they concede? I don't even think they were behind. I mean, I gained 12 life, but... Yeah, that was kind of weird. They just triple block with these 3. I trade for these 2. I'm at 29, but I have nothing, because I have a 1/2 and an 1/2, or an 0/2 and a -1/2, and a Shadow Spear, but no Paladin. I don't know, that was weird. I wasn't expecting that. Alright, sideboarding. Void Mirror, get in my deck. Sanctifier, I don't think so, because their only black creature is Grief. I actually don't think Thoughtseize is very good against Cascade decks, because they're just so redundant. Like, their entire deck is just 20 cards that replace themselves in the Cyclers, and 8 Cascade spells. That's their entire deck. Like, I just don't even think Thoughtseize is good against them. So we're just going to bring in the mirrors. I think I'm going to trim down on the Smiths, because we're not really about that kind of life. I'm going to cut one more card. I think you can, like, trim a Bauble, maybe, especially if you're cutting the Smiths. So we'll do that. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why they scooped. I mean, I was going to gain 12, but they just trade for the Paladin, and then I have 2 irrelevant creatures left. And I'm, like, kind of screwed if I don't find another Paladin, because I'm already down 2 hammers. Anyways, I don't know. Game 2. Alright, here we are for game number 2. And our hand is the nuts, but we don't have a land. So I will take a mulligan. This hand is pretty good. What am I putting back is the question. I think what I want to do is put back the Smith. Because I have Sentinel Hammer, I just need a way to equip, and I even have Metalcraft. And I'm obviously keeping the Void Mirror in both lands, so I think it's just the Smith. I think that makes the most sense. It's kind of cool that Smith can find your sideboard cards too. Let's lead on Springleaf Drum, I think. Yeah. Although, maybe I should lead on Sentinel, because it might incentivize them. Like, is it more likely they play their Foundation Breaker if I play Esper Sentinel or Void Mirror, or Springleaf Drum? Probably if I play Sentinel, right? And I really want to bait the thing out of their hand. Alright, now I can play Sentinel first. Because they're not going to force a Vigor, just the Drum. I don't think so. And we got to play this. See if they have Force. That was a really good draw, by the way. That was a very good draw. Because now next turn we can just go... depending on what they do, I'm not sure which order I would want to play these in. Again, sometimes you want to play Hammer first, sometimes you want to play Paladin first if you're worried about removal. I guess in this matchup it's probably better to play Paladin first. Because there's not much removal they have. Right, they don't play like Dismember or anything like that. You usually only want to do it the other way against Lightning Bolt. Because if you play Paladin first and then you play Hammer, they just bolt your Paladin in response. But if you play Hammer first and then the Paladin, they don't have an opportunity to bolt anything. I mean, they could bolt the Sentinel, but then I just equip the Paladin, right? Force of Vigor. Don't think that's gonna work out the way you want it to. Uh-oh. Well, that's awkward. That is awkward. Alright, well, okay. I don't know. What'd they pitch? Interesting start to this league, I will say. I mean, to be fair, the rest of our hand was kind of rolled up. I don't know if they had a Foundation Breaker in their hand, but obviously that was super awkward. Anyways, 2-0. I'll see you back here in just a little bit for number 3. Alright, everybody, round number 3. I don't know what the heck's going on this league, but we're 2-0. What do we got? We have a hand that looks quite good to me. Just a question of how we want to sequence it, depending on what our opponent's playing. But basically, we can go Land, Drum, Thopter, Sentinel. Okay, what is the best way to sequence this hand? It's just so I'm definitely going to go Land, Drum, Thopter, Sentinel. It's just a question of which land do I want to play. I think that's the most important question to ask with this hand. Given that I drew another 0-mana creature, I think I'm just going to lean on Saga. Yeah, let's lean on Saga. Because I think there's a good chance I just make Saga tokens over the next couple of turns, especially against Izzet. I guess they could, like, Spell Pierce this. That would be bad. Oh, okay. I've been debated. Okay, they are not playing Izzet. Well, I'm still kind of happy I played this first. Because playing this first means I'm closer to Spellbomb. I am going to save the Ornithopter, though, for sure. And now I think what I'm going to end up doing is Sigarda's Aid plus Smith. Well, I guess I'll... Oh. Interesting. How do we want to sequence this? I think I'm just going to play Sigarda's Aid plus Stoneforge Mystic. I kind of wish I had a creature in the graveyard. Because basically what I want to do... Maybe it's actually better to play Smith here. Because Smith beats down. And then I could have Stoneforge for Hammer as my follow-up. So I could just go like Smith, Aid, Thopter. Is that better? Because I have to assume they're going to cast Shardless Agent next turn. And I need to have a Sigarda's Aid in play. Because then I am able to... Oh, I guess I won't have mana to make a construct. Shoot. Yeah, see, this is really awkward. Because basically what's going to happen is, let's say I play Stoneforge Mystic plus Sigarda's Aid. Attack for 2, pass. They go land shardless. I lose all my creatures, and I don't have anything to make a mana withdraw. But I have a Sigarda's Aid in play. But the problem is, well, I guess I could just get an Ornithopter off of the Saga, and then play the Hammer from my hand. Yeah, okay, so let's just go... Let's play Stoneforge here. I'm gonna go Stoneforge and then play the Sigarda's Aid off the drum in the Stoneforge. I think that makes sense. Because then, again, if they have Shardless, I can just get an Ornithopter or a Memnite off of the Saga. Which I think is good. I'm gonna keep the Ornithopter in my hand. I guess they might just force this, but... Forcing this would kind of suck. Alright, they didn't force it. Attack you for 2. See what you got. Again, I assume they have Shardless, because they always do. Yeah. So Shardless gets back those 5. Can I beat those 5? Maybe. That's bad too. Because now they get to take the Hammer with this, and then when it comes back, they get to take the Smith. Yeah, this is tough. This is tough. Yep. I get to draw a card at least. So now they take Smith. Then I have nothing left. Okay. This can't be good. Oh, it's still broken. I'm just going to say any order because I don't want to feel like I'm cheating. But yeah, this card's bugged. If you're playing with Architects of Will on Magic Online, do not target your opponent because your opponent gets to choose the card, the order. Just target yourself. I'm just going to assume I didn't see those 3 cards and pick any order because I don't, I'm not trying to fabricate the outcome of the game. Although even if I like draw perfects, I still think I'm probably dead. What's my out? I don't have one. All right, cool. Game number 2. I think I'm gonna do the same thing as last time. Cut 2 Smiths, cut a Bauble, call it a day. I still don't like Thoughtseize against them. All right, game number 2. Living End. What do we got? Can't keep this, right? I think maybe if I had a Sigarda's Aid, instead of one of these I could equip, because I could just go turn 1, Aid, Thopter, turn 2, Hammer. As is, I think we have to mulligan. Okay. Hammer into Mirror into Paladin. I think this has to be a keep. And I think I would like to deploy the Hammer. I think so. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want to try and bait them into forcing this. I mean, I don't think they ever would, but I'm just concerned about my mana. I guess if I draw any artifacts, I should be able to play them on turn 3, because I think... that sucks. So now they take the Mirror. I mean, I guess consolation prize is I get to play Paladin. I don't know if that's good enough, but we'll see. This matchup seems tough. Jesus Christ. Well, okay. I guess we're dead. that was a draw. I'll play this one. Your turn. Alrighty then. Ain't not much to say about this game. Guess we could put Luris in our hand next turn. Get that going for us. I mean, it is kind of cool if they play Living and I get my Paladin back. And then I only have one artifact towards Metalcraft. I guess I have two. But... Your turn. My turn. Cool. I wonder if it's just more important to put this into play. Because then once they Living in, I just get... Yeah. I mean, it's a horrible use of my mana. I don't think I'm going to attack with the Nexus either, because I'm worried about them killing it. I guess I have land 3 anyways, but... This is my third artifact for Middlecraft. But... Yeah, I think... I mean, if they play Shardless this turn, I think they're actually behind on board, right? Because then I just make a giant thing that they can't really trade with. So... Yeah. I don't know. We're actually... Like... Low-key, we're kind of doing okay here. Like, they can EOT the Living End, but it's not lethal. It's only 9... It's only 14, so I can just go to 5, and then attack for 24. 10, 23, excuse me. So, like, this being in the graveyard is super awkward for them. Like, I actually don't think they can cast Living End right here. Even if they have Outburst. I don't think they can cast it. I mean, they get my Luris, but... Honestly, I think our best draw is just in their Paladin. Because the Paladin forces their hand. And then we just have 2 Paladins, like, between the graveyard and play. And just, you know, we can always get them into a spot where no matter what, even if they cast Living End, we're just going to get a Paladin. So I think that's probably our best draw. Plains is not a good draw. So the problem with Luris Paladin is then their Living End's actually good. So I don't think I can do that. So let's draw a card. Don't think I can play the Luris here. So now it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 17. Still not lethal. But it would be lethal if they have one more Cycler, so maybe I want to chump block with Nexus this turn. Alright, we'll just pass. Blue-green. Okay, that makes things a little bit more difficult. I mean, I guess the nice thing is they only have 1 Living End left, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe they drew it. Maybe that's my out, is just hope they drew the 3rd Living End. Because I could go for it, just go, you know, Luris Paladin, blah blah blah. But then I just lose to an Outburst. If they didn't draw the Living End. I could also just fire up the Nexus and equip Shadow Spear. Attack for 2 poison, go up to 21. But then that's lethal, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 17, 24. So that would be lethal if I did that. Well, not lethal, I'd have to chump block with Paladin, which I don't want to do. It's a tricky spot. Very tricky spot. Well, here's the thing, right? So the reason I wasn't playing Luris before is because I wasn't straight up dead to a Living End. Now the fact that if I animate Nexus, equip Shadow Spear, attack for 2, go to 21, they EOT Violent Outburst, put 24 power into play, I have to chump block with my Paladin, that's assuming I even get a chump block, And then I have nothing in play, which means that I just lose to... I basically just need the top deck anyways. So this might be the turn that I'm supposed to go for it, and just hope they don't have Outburst. But it's like... It's kind of obvious they have Outburst, right? We can safely assume they do. It's just a question of, do I want to risk them not having the third living end? But like, what's my alternative? Again, equip animate Nexus, equip attack for 2, go to 21, the EOT Outburst, I chump block with Paladin, then I guess I have one draw step towards another Paladin. But I mean, the Lurrus line basically wins the game if they don't have it. And if they have Shardless and not Outburst, I get one more draw step towards a Paladin anyways. This is so tough. I'm really not sure here. Let me know in the comments. I think I'm at a point where I'm just going to play the Lurrus. Although I really don't know if this is correct. What's this? 4 mana. Okay. Well, they definitely don't have a Cascade spell in their hand. At least they don't have Outburst, because they would have let that resolve. It's up. So that's good news. That's gotta be good news, right? Because if they had an Outburst, they would have just let this resolve. Or they would have let the Lurrus resolve. So yeah, they either A, don't have Outburst, or B, the third living ends their hand. One of those two things is 100%, I think, at this point. So we should be good now. Maybe their Cascade spell is Shardless. That could be. But if they cast Shardless, they lose. So they can't do that. Okay. Alright, well, given that they did this last turn, I guess they could have drawn a Violent Outburst, but... Question is, do we play the Void Mirror? Actually, that's just better, right? I forgot we had the Void Mirror. Yeah, because now, if they cast the Violent Outburst, where the issue is forced. I totally forgot about the Mirror. Yeah, I should have done this a while back. Because now we can just chill, and then next turn we can play the Paladin. Right? Yeah, this is good. Sure. Yeah, so, okay, maybe I should have played the Void Mirror a little earlier. Completely forgot that I could just do that. Just play the Mirror from the graveyard instead of playing the Paladin. That was a weird game. I'm not going to change anything, though. Game 3. Let's go. Did I have an opportunity to cast Lurrus Void Mirror a little bit earlier? Maybe I should have. Alright, we got a Hammer, a Thopter, a Bauble, and some lands. This land seems pretty bad. We'll ship this. Seems really slow. But I don't think I want to go to 5. They kept 7? Yikes. They have the double Grief Hand again? I hope not. Okay. That plays. I think it might be better to lead on Aid plus Thopter, because they're not going to be casting non-creature spells next turn anyways, most likely. And this line is so much better if I draw a Hammer, because then I can just go Sentinel, Hammer up the Thopter, force them to Living End. Okay, that's worse for me. But we have the Paladin, so it's not too bad. But that is definitely worse. That would be a reason to lead on Sentinel for sure. Because I'd much rather get this Foundation Breaker than the Sigarda's Aid. Although, would not have mattered because they would have just killed the Sentinel and then taken the Sigarda's Aid. Now I assume they probably take... Well, I actually think they don't want to take Paladin. I think that's why the last game was so awkward, is because this was in my graveyard. And when this is in my graveyard, it's just so awkward for them to cast Living End. So I think they should probably take this. Well, they took the Paladin. I mean, I'll take it. Again, that was actually a pretty good draw, too. We're just putting them into the spot where, like, it's actually beneficial for us if they cast Living End. So maybe, I don't know, maybe this matchup is good. Because that's just how these games play out, you know? But again, I really don't think they should have taken Paladin. I think they should have taken something else. I think I might just start activating Saga. Alright, cycle Street Wraith. I guess they're looking for a Foundation Breaker. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm down to just make a Saga token. Like, I don't want to expose more of my hand into the Living End. And the issue's kind of already forced. Because they kind of expect that we have a Spellbomb or a Lantern, so they probably have to do something this turn regardless. I guess it does kind of suck, because they get to go Grief the Hammer and then Foundation Breaker the Saga, which cuts me off of, yeah, it cuts me off of all avenues to Hammer. Sure. So now we need to draw a Hammer. Alright, make a thing. And they're going to take Hammer. I guess maybe I should have played Hammer last turn. So that way I have a Saga and a Hammer in play. And then they can only Foundation Breaker one of them. Yeah, that probably would have been better. 10, 13, 16. I didn't think about that. Yeah. So what I should have done last turn was just played Hammer, play Sentinel. And then that way, if they do this, I have no cards left in my hand, so the Grief doesn't matter. And if they have Foundation Breaker, they can only take either the Hammer or the Saga. And then I can just, you know, I have guaranteed access to a Hammer regardless. What's my out here? I don't really know. Definitely not that. I can make a 3/3, go to 18, block here, 2, 5, 8, 13, 18. So I then have to chump block as well. Alright, your turn. Yeah, given this is my hand, I don't think I have outs. So I guess what I should have done... yeah, we're done on board. So I guess what I should have done is played the Hammer. Because, again, as I was saying earlier, if I'd played the Hammer and the Sentinel that turn, they get Grief Breaker. I have no cards in my hand for Grief. They breaker either the Sentinel, or they breaker the Hammer or the Saga, but that's basically two Hammers. Granted, I still think I would have lost, because they had a follow-up Foundation Breaker anyways, but that's probably what I should have done. That was a weird match, though. So, anyways, 2-1, and I'll see you back here in just a little bit for round number 4. Round 4, 2-1, let's go. What do we got? The Spellbomb and the Shadow Spear, both in the opening hand. That's kind of awkward. But we do have a redraw, and we're going to call this the White Mole Drifter. Does that make sense? Alright, I'm going to keep. I don't know if White Mole Drifter is necessarily the appropriate representation for that card, but that's what I'm going to call it. Excuse me. Ketria Triome. Okay, that's not bad. Let's play Courtyard and... Excuse me, I'm going to cycle this. I think I'm just going to get the Shadow Spear on the battlefield. See what they're working with. They have Force of Negation, so it could be Hammer. Could be some other, like, Wilderness Wreck nonsense, but probably Hammer. Or, not Hammer. Rhinos, excuse me. That's what I meant to say. Probably Rhinos. Drew a Sigarda's Aid, which is not too bad. Alright, let's play the Smith, trying to find Colossus Hammer. We do know they have Force, which makes this a little bit more dicey. Did not find a Colossus Hammer. I think I actually have to take Bauble, because I need land drops and Hammer. I'm going to save the Ornithopter for next turn, because I might not want to play an artifact. This looks like maybe a Fire Ice. It's like Fire Ice. Yeah. Okay, now I guess I'm going to play the Ornithopter because I don't have the thing in play anymore. It's not great. But I want to have a creature in play so that if I draw Hammer, I can go for 8 plus Hammer, or potentially Paladin plus Hammer. So this is going to be a Shardless, yeah. So they have Force of Negation and Fury. This is going to be a tough game. I need to find a Hammer. It's not a Hammer. I think I have to lead on Ingenious Smith. But then I just get my stuff cleaned up by Fury. Ugh, this is bad. It's all bad. Alright, let's play Smith. Yeah, not finding a hammer is kind of rough. Still no hammer? Jeez. I guess I'll take Sentinel. Think. It's actually probably better to take Ornithopter, because then I can go Ornithopter, have 3 2-toughness creatures, so that even if they Fury, they can't kill all 3 of them, and then follow up with the Sigarda's Aid. Yeah, this is actually good. So if they want to force this, that's fine, because I have the Paladin. So, like, let's say they force this, and then Fury the Smith and the Thopter. I have 2 artifacts towards the Paladin. If I draw a hammer, I can just go nuts. So this is actually kind of okay if I mean, again, I still have to draw the hammer. We've been in that position for, 3 turns now, but I think if I draw the hammer, it's actually not that bad. Yeah, no blocks. They also might not have a red card. So they have Fury and 1 unknown. It's not a hammer. That is indeed not a hammer. I can cycle the Spell Bomb. But then if I draw a hammer, I don't have enough mana to play Paladin plus hammer. I could... Well, because worst case scenario, then I could just equip the Shadow Spirit to the Smith. Alright, so let's go Spell Bomb. Oh, I messed up. I messed up badly. I should have played the Nexus and tapped the Nexus to play the Spell Bomb. Yeah, that was bad. Because now I have to play the Clearing in order to play the Paladin. Yeah, this was bad. I mean, I guess I'm just not going to play the Paladin, right? Because I don't want to expose it to Fury. And one of the only ways I can win this game is if they have nothing here, and then I still have to draw the hammer. I still cannot win this game without drawing hammer. They have Brazen Borrower. It's also going to be hard for me to beat. Yeah, Fury kills us. Alright, we're dead. That was tough. We saw a lot of cards, didn't find a hammer. I think same thing, I'm just going to only bring in Void Mirror. I don't actually like Thoughtseize in these matchups. It's kind of the same thing as the Living End stuff. I'm going to board out the same cards too. It's kind of the same sideboarding against Cascade. Oh no, the Spell Bomb is bad. The Spell Bomb is bad. Let's go keep the Smith in. Yeah, this is a matchup we don't need the Spell Bomb. I don't mind shaving a Bauble because I'm bringing in Mirror, and I don't mind shaving a Smith because I'm bringing in more 2-drops, and then the Spell Bomb is basically irrelevant. So that's what I got. Alright, game 2. This matchup is tough for Hammer. Especially after sideboarding. My hand's good, I think. Hand's never beating a Force of Vigor, but let's go lead on Sentinel. And I don't want to expose the Ornithopter quite yet. This hand does need a second White Source. I mean, it has a slow second White Source because we can Saga for a drum, but... Oh. Okay. That's not bad. So let's do... I mean, I'm just going to go for it. They could force these two now, which would suck, but... This is one of those matchups where you kind of just have to jam. You can't really afford to play around much, because I think the longer this game goes, the worse off you are. At least that's how I feel from the Rhino side. You just kind of have to jam. Jam and hope. Jam and hope. See if they have a dead gone. Okay. Looks like a force. That is certainly going to be tough to beat. Oh, they kept in force of negation. Okay, cool. I'm down with that. That is A-okay by me. You can go. Still not going to expose the Ornithopter to a Fury. That is A-okay with me. I typically cut Force of Negation against HammerTime, just because I think 1-for-1ing with your forces is just... Like, it's too important to set up the 2-for-1 with Force of Vigor and all that stuff. Oh, they have Foundation Breaker. That's a card I don't have. I'm not a huge fan of that card. All things considered. I just think Force of Vigor is so much better. If I am going to hammer something, I kind of want to main phase it, because I want to play around Fire Ice and Dead Gone. So I think I'm just going to main phase this and play the other Sigarda's Aid. And then this can just get a Shadow Spear. I mean, obviously main phasing this is horrible if they have another Foundation Breaker, but draw a White Source is not too bad. But they have Fire Ice and Dead Gone, and I want to play around those if I can. That is not a White Source. Okay, let's make a mana. So I can get another hammer and just YOLO. I can get a drum, and the drum would allow me to play Paladin. The problem with playing Paladin is then... What if they just, like... Well, it's better if they have a bounce spell, because then I can just move the hammer again. Yeah. Alright, I guess I'll get a drum. Am I worried about them... Am I worried about them casting Outburst here? I attack for 10. Let's say they don't do anything, they just take 10, they Outburst. Attack me for 8, I go to 12. I could lose the race, but... If I get Shadow Spear and they have a bounce spell, it's pretty bad. Alright, I'm just going to get a drum. I don't need to do anything pre-combat, though. Because the Memnite and the drum make white mana, so... I don't need the colorless mana, and I don't plan on Lurising this turn. What's this? A bounce spell? Bounce spell is fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. Alright, play the Thopter. Play the Paladin. And I'm actually just going to equip the Paladin. I guess they could have Force now, but... And no reason to play the Memnite. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? Yeah, I'll just play it. Alright, go. The reason I'm equipping the Paladin is because, again, they have a bunch of shocks in their deck. Dead Gone, Fire Ice, Fury, all that stuff. So I want to protect the Paladin. Because I think that is the most important threat in play. Alright, it's my turn. That's cool. Combat. It's probably just going to be a Lur's turn. I think I'm only going to attack with the Paladin. I don't even want to give this up to a violent outburst. It also just doesn't really change the clock. I guess what I probably should have done... No, because I don't want to move the hammer. I was going to say move the hammer to Mendite attack. But then if they just, like, shock the Paladin, bounce the Mendite, it's pretty bad for me. So I'd rather just have the Paladin equipped. Alright, are they going to take 12, or are they going to chump block? I guess if they have Force Green card as their last two cards, they can block and then force the hammer and the drum. That would be a disaster. If they have Force. Alright, no, they're just chump blocking. Alright, let's go land, Luris, and ship the turn. Again, not going to move the equipment because this thing has 5 damage on it, so that would be kind of pointless. Alright, they have a forest. I wonder if they brought in Blood Moon. I'm not a fan of Blood Moon on the draw. I like it on the play from the Rhinos deck, but not on the draw. Alright, they do have the Blood Moon. That is fine. I accept. I can still cast most of my deck, except Paladin, which I already have in play, and the second Paladin's kind of whatever. I mean, ideally I'm just looking for a Stoneforge, or another Hammer. Or a Silent Clearing. Tech. I got nothing else to do. 12, yeah. Take it. 3. Go. Classic Blood Moons. Classic Blood Moons. Now I get to start attacking with the Memnite too, because they're in the Abyss. The Abyss. Well, what do we got? What do we got? You let me know. Alright, they changed their mind. They're just passing. Cool. My turn. Ornithopter. Powerful card. I mean, if I attack with the Memnite, I just kind of give it to them for free if they have an outburst. So... yeah, I wonder if they drew a bounce spell. Oh, but bounce spell doesn't matter because I have Sigarda's Aid. Yeah, who cares? Attack. Attack. They would need a bounce spell and a force and a blue card, basically. I mean, I guess they could play an outburst and triple block, but kind of okay with that. Blue, red, green. Oh, Prismari Command? Yeah, that's bad. That is bad. Sure. Alright, my thing's dead. My thing's dead. Go. It's unfortunate. I mean, I guess I could have not attacked, but if I don't attack, they just go Shatter Shock, right? So I still lose my Paladin either way. That sucks. This Blood Moon's actually looking kind of good. Even though I think it's pretty bad on the draw, but it's looking good this game. Alright, I drew white mana. I guess I should do this. Alright, Luris. Combat. Because now we can play the hammer from the graveyard. In combat. kind of cool that we have two Sigarda's Aids too, because they're in this position where it's like, what's this? Are they going to force the two hammers? Or are they going to force the two Sigarda's Aids? That's what they're doing. I see. Sure. Okay, Sigarda's Aid down. But now I could just hammer this turn, and then Paladin next turn. So we're still okay. 1, yeah. They go to 2. Yeah, because now I could just Paladin next turn. And probably equip the Luris, unless they have a shock. I guess they probably have a shock here. That's what they're setting up. Yeah, Luris dead. Okay. They have 2 cards. No attacks. Afraid of the Memnite. I'd like to draw a Paladin. Or another mountain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, hey, we're 2 lands away from just equipping this. Go. Oh, man. If this game ends in me 8 mana equipping a hammer, God, that would be glorious. Oh, no, they drew more rhinos. That's not good. Don't think they... I mean, I guess they could have drawn like a Fury or something, but... Paladin. Can I really win if they drew another rhinos anyways? Not really. I mean, obviously, I'm making this attack, like, assuming they don't have it, but I don't think I can beat a Violent Empress regardless, because then I have to start double chump blocking. Yeah, you win. Man, I mean, I know the matchup is pretty bad for, HammerTime. You know, I've had a lot of experience with the Rhinos deck from the Rhino side playing this matchup, and I usually beat HammerTime. Yeah, that's kind of why. I mean, their deck just has a ton of interaction. Foundation Breaker isn't something that usually you see, but Force of Vigor is really good. Just cheap, powerful threats, good, cheap interaction, and yeah, that's kind of a recipe. That's how you beat HammerTime. So we're 2-2. I'll see you back here in just a little bit for round number 5. All right, we're 2-2. Let's see if we can bring up the rear, as it were. Round number 5. All right, this hand looks good. We have a Courtyard. Probably going to go Courtyard Drum. Turn to Saga Sentinel Smith. And then we can potentially 8 plus Hammer the turn after. I think I like that sequencing. Opponent's on 6. River of Tears. Thoughtseize. So Reanimator probably. My guess is they take the Sigarda's Aid. That would be my guess. The choke point in this deck is usually ways to equip, because you have generally more hammers in your deck than you do ways to equip the hammer. Interesting. They took the Smith. That kind of makes me want to play the Sigarda's Aid, because I'm worried about a second Thoughtseize. Let's do it. Because the rest of my hand is pretty Thoughtseize proof. Like, my hand's just redundant enough that I don't really care. So I think it's more important to get this onto the battlefield. Okay. Let's play Saga that they know about. Let's go Drum. Sentinel. So they're going to cast, what, Faithful Mending in response? And we can bobble them afterwards. Blue. Counterspell. Oh, sure. I see. Alright, I'll do this on their upkeep, in case they have another Thoughtseize. Marked Grave is on top. Alright. So now they're going to Grave for an Archon. This is not looking great for us. What's our plan here? I think our plan is Nexus, Sentinel, pass. And then if they have Persist, we can make a token, sack the Sentinel, and then we can hammer up the token, which I think gets us to enough artifacts where they have the chump block? No, because they go to 18. But I think that's our best line. So let's play Sentinel, play Nexus, and pass. Yeah, go like this. Then we can make a token if they go to Archon, probably sack the Sentinel. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Would you like to pay 1? Ooh, that's a good draw. Now that is a good draw. All right, so they can put an Archon into play. Kind of okay with that. Persist Archon, resolves, response, make a token, sacrifice the Sentinel, discard the Silent Clearing. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16. No, you can discard the drum. Well, do I have enough mana? No, I can discard the clearing. Yeah, that's fine. Because the drum represents an extra power. So let's go make a mana. Because I kind of want to get Shadow Spear rather than Second Hammer. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, because I can still make it a lethal attacker. So let's get Shadow Spear. Equip, yes. Cast Drum, play Nexus, go to attacks. I mean, they probably have to assume my last card is Hammer, given how I played this, but I don't know that they can play around it. All right, 17. Cool. Got game number 1 against Reanimator. Sanctifier is quite good because usually they do have one Sarah's Emissary, but they have 4 copies of Archon. And with their Faithful Mending draws, where they go Mending, discard Archon, you really want access to Sanctifier. Could Thoughtseize. Not in love with it. Could Hangerback Walker against Archon of Cruelty. Is that good? Actually, it doesn't sound that bad. What if I just cut all the Smiths? Let's try this. This is going to sound weird, but I want to cut all the Smiths down because I'm replacing them with other 2-drops. I'm going to try no Thoughtseize. We're gonna try this. See how this goes. I have no idea if this is correct, but I kind of like the idea of Hangerback Walker against Archon of Cruelty. I guess it's a lot worse against Prismatic Ending, but their endings are kind of already taxed anyways, between Sigarda's Aid and Hammer and all that stuff, so I think it's okay. Alright, here's our Lurrus. Well, we're gonna see how good it is. I think this hand's a keeper. It's not insane or anything, but I think it's fine. Thoughtseize myself. Oh. Well, that's not good. Crap. I don't have Path to Exile on my sideboard. We're on no ways to beat that, right? Because we don't have Path. Let's do a quick check. Yeah, I boarded in Hangerback and Sanctifier. Okay, you win. Game 2. Game 3, I guess. You know what? Maybe I want these Thoughtseizes. Okay, these Hangerbacks are kind of sketch. What if I just did this and just brought in Thoughtseize? Let's try that. Go lower on the curve a little bit. Yeah, I'm here for that. I guess if I'm cutting Smith, I probably don't need Bobble as much, but... yeah, no Path is kind of rough. No path is kind of rough. This hand is missing an equipment, but I think it's quite good. This is definitely a land, drum, Thopter, Sentinel kind of hand. And then if I draw any equipment, it's quite good. Alright, opponent's on 6. Really hope they don't start by Thoughtseizing themselves, because then I'm kind of scared. Please don't Thoughtseize yourself. Prismatic Ending? Yeah, that's fine. I'll take a card. Alright, we need to not draw more lands, please. I said please. It's better to just do this. I don't want to expose the Paladin to another Prismatic Ending, because Prismatic Ending actually stops it from being able to be recast by Lurrus. So that actually wasn't too bad. I mean, I'm just gonna slam Lurrus. If they want to counter it, that's fine, I think. I mean, it's not fine, but take my free card. Pass. I'm gonna wait till they cast their Faithful Mending, which they definitely have, and then I'll bobble them again. Yep, so Mending resolves. They have Delta in hand. Then we can bobble them again. Alright, they discarded Delta. Shrine on top. Otherworldly Gaze. Okay. They bin the Shrine. Good to know. Definitely not looking for lands. Okay. It's like a hammer on layaway. Blue-black. Unmarked Grave. Right? Man, the fact that our deck doesn't have an answer to a Sarah's Emissary, I mean, I don't know about that. What's my out here? I guess I have to peel a Thoughtseize. Hammer's not quite good enough, right? It's only 13. So I can draw the hammer. So play Clearing, tap Courtyard, sack Clearing. Tap the other 2 Courtyards, play Paladin. Tap the drum, tap the Paladin, play Hammer, but then I'm 1 mana short. Because that's only 13 damage. So even if I draw another Hammer below the top card, it's not good enough, right? Well, I guess we can, like, hope they don't have Persist? I guess. Alright. Equip here. Attack you for 13. Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't have Path to Exile. So, Reanimator matchup is not good without Path to Exile. I think we've determined that. Okay. Well, that was HammerTime. We went 2 and 3. We lost to Rhinos, which I would expect to lose to. We lost to the Reanimator matchup because we're not playing Path to Exile. We're playing a bunch of Prismatic, and we're just not prepared for that matchup. And then we lost to Living End, which I think is also not the greatest of matchups. Overall, I mean, you know, our 2-3 record, I think that's more just like a product of the matchups that we played against, and less so the deck actually not being good, because it's still definitely one of the best decks. I'm not in love with these Thoughtseizes, I will say. I feel like we can do a little bit better than Thoughtseize, because against the premier combo deck, which is Living End, I don't even think Thoughtseize is good. So I don't really think that that's where you want to be right now. I would probably prefer something a little bit different. But that's kind of it. The main deck Spellbomb is maybe up for debate. You probably want to play Path to Exile, given how many people are playing Reanimator online. And that's all I got. So anyways, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.